All right, so today we're diving into kind of a real-life thriller here. The murder of Lieutenant Colonel Piet Pretorius in Ermelo, South Africa.
Yeah?
Honestly, some of the details are just so strange. It
Yeah.
almost feels like something, made up. Like, for instance, one of the suspects had their BMW stolen 6 years ago.
Yep.
And guess what shows up at the crime scene?
What?
A burned BMW.
Oh, wow.
Possibly the same model.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are the chances?
That's the thread we're going to pull on today, isn't it?
Yeah,
That stolen car could be the key to this whole thing.
absolutely.
But let's start with the basics. Just to make sure we're all on the same page here.
Good idea.
Um,
So on January 16th, 2025, Lieutenant Colonel Pretorius was shot while driving his police vehicle.
okay.
And he later died in the hospital.
And he was the commander of the Vehicle Crime Investigation Unit.
Wow.
That detail alone
Yeah.
makes you wonder, was this a hit related to his work? Was he on the verge of breaking a big case?
Possibly. Yeah, and the police wasted no time.
Yeah.
I mean, within 24 hours, they had 5 suspects in custody.
Wow, 5.
5.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and apparently the Hawks, local detectives, and even private security were all involved in the operation.
Oh, wow. So the Hawks are South Africa's elite police unit.
Okay.
Kind of similar to like the FBI in the U.S.
Gotcha.
And they handle serious organized crime and corruption cases.
Yeah.
So their presence here definitely suggests that this isn't just some, random act of violence.
Right. Yeah.
And that level of collaboration is impressive.
Yeah.
But it also tells you that they perceived a high level of threat or complexity in the case.
For sure.
So who are the suspects?
So the suspects are Mathobi Senkosi, he's 40 years old. Aubrey Zaba, 35, Kumbuzo Skatan, who's also 40. Nico Mujavo, 30, and Valencia Skosana, 36.
Okay.
And get this.
Yeah.
One of them is a former police official.
Ooh, that's a huge red flag.
Wow.
It raises all sorts of questions about a potential inside job or a cover-up.
Right.
Was this ex-officer working with Lieutenant Colonel Pretorius
Yeah.
against him? We need to understand that connection.
Definitely. And going back to that burned BMW,
Yeah.
it was found the day after the murder.
Okay.
And they're calling it the gateway vehicle, meaning it was likely involved in the crime somehow.
Okay.
And it was the same model BMW as the one reported stolen from one of the suspects 6 years prior.
How does a stolen car just reappear like that after so long?
I know, it's super strange.
Yeah, it's incredibly suspicious, right?
Yeah.
Like it could point to a staged theft or a car that was hidden
Right.
and then brought back into play specifically for this crime.
Wow. And it gets even weirder.
Oh, no.
Police searched one of the suspects' homes and found 3 BMWs.
Okay.
One was confirmed as the car reported stolen 6 years ago.
Okay.
But that's not all.
What else?
They also found 50
50?
license discs
Oh, my
and a
God.
bunch of other documents.
What could they possibly need those for?
That's what I'm wondering.
Right.
It's like 50 license discs.
Yeah, they're fine. It suggests that we're dealing with a potentially large and organized operation here.
Right.
Having that many license discs
Yeah.
could be for forging documents,
Yeah.
creating fake identities. The possibilities are disturbing.
It's crazy.
It makes you wonder what else they were involved in.
Yeah, definitely. And they also discovered that the VIN on the recovered stolen BMW had been tampered with.
Okay, so the VIN is like a car's fingerprint. Each one is unique.
Okay.
So tampering with it is a serious offense.
Yeah.
And it's often linked to car theft rings.
Right.
They'll switch VINs to disguise stolen cars or make them harder to trace.
Right.
So this detail suggests a level of criminal sophistication that goes way beyond a simple joyride.
Yeah, for sure. It's scary.
Yeah, it really does seem like we're looking at, a web of potentially interconnected crimes here.
Yeah.
The tampered VIN, the stolen car resurfacing after 6 years.
Right.
The collection of licensed discs.
It's a lot.
It's all very calculated.
So if they were running this sophisticated operation, why target Lieutenant Colonel Pretorius?
Right.
What was the motive behind his murder?
Well, considering his role as the commander of the Vehicle Crime Investigation Unit,
Yeah.
it's highly likely that his work made him a target.
Mm.
Was he close to uncovering their operation?
Right.
Did he know something that made him dangerous to them?
Especially with a former police officer among the suspects.
Exactly.
It makes you wonder how deep this goes.
Yeah, it points to potential corruption within the police force.
Wow.
Maybe even a network of individuals working to protect these criminal activities.
And the legal proceedings are already underway.
Oh, wow.
The 5 suspects appeared in the Ermelo Magistrates Court on January 20th.
Hmm?
That's just 4 days after the murder?
That's quick,
Yeah.
but not unheard of.
Oh, right.
It shows that the justice system is prioritizing this case,
Yeah.
which is understandable given the victim and the potential implications.
Mm-hmm.
They were able to gather enough evidence to bring charges fast,
Yeah.
which speaks to the thoroughness of the investigation.
What happened at the hearing?
Well, the case was postponed to January 27th.
Okay.
To give one of the suspects time to find legal representation and allowing for further investigation.
Okay.
This is standard procedure to ensure a fair trial for all involved.
Of course, everyone deserves due process.
Right.
But with the arrests happening so quickly, the burned car and all those suspicious items found at the suspect's house,
Yeah.
the evidence seems pretty strong.
It's certainly compelling, but it's important to remember that these are just allegations at this point.
Right.
The prosecution still has to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt in court.
That's true.
Yeah.
Still, it's reassuring to see the police acting so swiftly and decisively.
Absolutely. Even Major General Nico Gerber of the Hawks publicly commended the investigators.
Okay.
And assured the public that they're committed to building a strong case for court. It's a clear message that they're taking this crime very seriously.
Yeah. Hopefully justice will be served, but even if these suspects are convicted,
Right.
we're left with a lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah, what was the full extent of their operation?
Yeah, how deep did this rabbit hole go?
Right.
And what does this case tell us about the state of organized crime in South Africa?
Those are the questions that linger even with the suspects behind bars.
Yeah.
This case is far from over.
Right.
The investigation is ongoing,
Mm-hmm.
and I wouldn't be surprised if there are more twists and turns to come.
I get the feeling we're just scratching the surface here. The possible involvement of a former police officer is really unsettling.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder about the level of corruption within the system and how far these criminal networks actually reach.
It's a deeply troubling aspect of this case.
Yeah.
If someone entrusted to uphold the law
Right.
is involved in this kind of criminal enterprise,
Yeah.
it really erodes public trust and makes it even harder to combat organized crime.
This case seems to expose a much larger problem in South Africa.
Right.
Car theft, rings, document forgery,
Yeah.
potentially even darker activities. This isn't just a one-off incident, is it?
Unfortunately, no, this case highlights a systemic issue.
Yeah.
Organized crime is a complex problem with very deep roots, and it requires a multi-pronged approach from law enforcement,
Yeah.
the government, and even civil society to really address it effectively.
This all sounds pretty intense. Like,
Yeah.
what does it mean for the average person in South Africa?
Right.
Should we be worried about driving our BMWs?
Yeah.
I'm half joking, but it does make you think about personal safety.
Yeah.
Does this case have implications for everyday citizens?
It's a good question, and the answer is unfortunately yes.
Wow.
This case is a stark reminder that crime can affect anyone, regardless of their position or status.
Yeah.
Even a high-ranking police officer like Lieutenant Colonel Pretorius wasn't immune. It really underscores the need for vigilance and awareness.
Yeah.
We all need to be proactive about our safety and security and work with law enforcement to address these threats.
It's a wake-up call.
Yeah.
Even in a country with laws and institutions.
Right.
There are people operating outside the system willing to harm others for their own gain.
Absolutely. We can't be complacent.
Right.
We need to stay informed, be vigilant, and hold those in power accountable.
So where do we go from here? We
Well-
have this intricate web of criminal activity, a murder that's shaken the community, and a trial that will hopefully shed more light on what happened.
Yeah.
What's the takeaway for you listening to all this?
This case, as complex and disturbing as it is, really serves as a microcosm of the larger issues South Africa is grappling with.
Right.
Organized crime, corruption,
Yeah.
and the pursuit of justice.
It's a lot.
It's a story that's still unfolding, and it challenges us to think critically about the systems in place,
Yeah.
the people we entrust with power,
Right.
and our own roles in creating a safer and more just society.
That's a lot to consider,
Yeah.
but important nonetheless.
Absolutely.
It's exactly the kind of deep dive we aim for here.
Right.
So for you listening, we'll leave you with this thought that what can you do in your own community to take a stand against crime and corruption?
Yeah.
How can you contribute to a more just and equitable world? These are questions worth thinking about
Right.
and hopefully acting on until next time.
Yeah.
Stay curious and stay informed.